Good evening. We will be on our way to get the final piece of the Staff of Chaos. We are currently doing repair at Vintage Armaments, but we do have the directions to the final piece in Dagoth-Ur. Now, I'm a little bit off in terms of knowing when I get my items back, but I think it's best we just head on our way, and if I'm early, we can find other things to do in town.
Dagoth-Ur in the Morrowind province. The date is Freydis 18th of Sun's Dawn in the year 3rd Era 392. Based on the current weather, it will take 17 days to travel here. The total distance is 600 kilometers, and you should arrive by Lourdes 5th of First Seed in the 3rd Era 392. Dagoth-Ur. The sacred entrance of the Dwarven Smiths into the Fire Mountain Dagoth-Ur stands before you. Magical runes glow in the red firelight, shimmering with heat. Sulphurous gouts of steam escape from the vents within the rock face of the opening. The final piece of the Staff of Chaos beckons. You enter the Fire Mountain Dagoth-Ur. Around you the air shimmers with heat. Even the stone floor is warm to the touch.
I am happy to be finishing in Morrowind, but I am not happy to be encountering ghosts this early. Fire resistance may be an idea here. So from last time, starting to sort of randomly go through rooms didn't necessarily make things any easier for me. This time I'll try to be a little bit more ordered in how I go through the level, but obviously these are rather sprawling, so we'll do our best guess and move on from there. And as always, even though we're near the end, we will always look for loot. I didn't mean to trigger both enemies, it just happened that way. And I'd rather not try to go over the lava to try and get it, so I think I might have just walked through the wall by mistake. these halls, not so much because I think there's going to be more things. Well, as it turns out, there is. It was mostly just so that I could get those parts of the map recorded. And it looks like there's quite a bit to the west, so we should be taking a look. I always forget just because a room is empty doesn't mean that there isn't a secret passage. The textures tend not to reveal them. Sometimes they do, but normally you have to check the map for that. I don't want to camp, I want to heal. I may have to wind up repairing this sword at the end, but we'll see what happens after we get the Staff of Chaos. It may be irrelevant. That is one of the reasons why I put the katana away right away, because it is my better weapon, and unless I find an ebony katana, it'll be the thing that I take to Jagar Tharn. Well, something's on its way. So there's a pretty substantial amount that was left to the side. I don't believe this is an actual door. I could be wrong though. I used to think when the textures changed that meant progress, but that's not always true. In fact, that seems to be very rarely true. This is another example of something I'd sort of like to check out. But my shield does give me an extra jump, and I don't really want to waste the resist fire on it. I don't normally like going down these tunnels, but it's the better alternative to jumping into fire, so it probably would have been wise to not just bring the fire resist spell, but to actually have a few potions to that effect. So it seems like something's blocking my way up here. So there's only one way out, and I may not be able to get to it. Down. One big difference between the stone golems and the knights is that generally my attacks hit the stone golems. So even though it takes a while to take them down, I know I'm making progress. For the enemies where it's not clear you're actually connecting, it seems a little more frustrating than it actually is. So there isn't a direct path to this area from what I can see. We'll explore what we can to the right, but I have a feeling we'll probably need to do something on this side. That's definitely a ghost, I just don't know where. This is one of the rare cases where I actually really wanted to go somewhere rather than just randomly check. Now I feel a little lost, but we'll work with what we've got. Alright, this is good information. We'll stay above ground, of course, because there's never really... One of the reasons why I don't like going through those tunnels is that there's no advantage to being on the low ground, unless it's the only way. Generally, there will be something that can hit you on your way up or just block you outright, like what we ran into. Again, same rule applies, although it's less likely we'll find the next level. To the east. Then again, it's debatable we'll find anything here, so... One regret I have had, either through doing sort of smaller dungeons or starting with dungeons, is I have less to talk about when I'm lost in the halls. And again, one of the things that I found really interesting about the start of the game were the opportunities to wait for certain holidays. But now, really, I've just kind of become a machine which goes, hits monsters and takes things. I don't talk with many people anymore. But it is a lot nicer on my voice. to rest in that higher level, but I still have a little bit left in me. And I did just cast light.
The passages within this volcano are covered in soot, and the smell of sulfur lingers everywhere.
I have a feeling that message was intended when you're going the other way. Yep, that's the start. So the problem here is there isn't a lot I haven't already seen on this side. As for this one, I'm always bad at finding these. There we go. I thought that was a stairway for a moment. I was really excited. Okay, so I should either go. We'll see what we can find in the middle here. Otherwise, we know the exit to the level is likely going to be in the bottom left. And it may be that I can access it by going to this other end. We'll see. Oh, wait. I do need to check where I am now. Alright, at this point I think I'm going to need to get some rest. Not the best place to do so, but we'll do what we can. I stand corrected. Alright, I think I'm gonna try to drop into this tunnel here if I can. I have a suspicion this might be a 3-level dungeon. The reason I think so is this seems relatively short for a dungeon like this. Like, when you think of it, the only places we haven't investigated are in the middle here, and whatever's to the left, to the west. And it hasn't taken us all that long to go through it. Alright, we'll see what we can find in a tunnel.
Passages within this volcano are covered in soot, and the smell of sulfur lingers everywhere.
I think there's more than one hitting me. To the death, my friend. I killed him so hard he vanished from the plane of existence. No, never mind, there he is. So we are more or less covered. It may be that there's something we can do on this end, but I'm going to approach this by moving up, and we'll see what's on this end first. And if it truly is the case that we're blocked by a creature, I have a way of getting around that too. I could cast light, but in the fairly well-lit volcano, so I think I'm gonna give it a skip for now. Although you can never save too often in these things. As I was saying. So it turns out that this was a proper passage, my bad. I think at this point we can debate as to whether or not jumping is a benefit or not. So it looks like there may be something up there. I'm gonna investigate it just because it's less. I'll have fewer excuses to stop by afterwards. It may be nothing, but again, if I find out it's the exit to the level, I'll not be happy with my Balfour. I hope the spell extends to my equipment. Just a room with a demon. Literally nothing else, just a demon. Ow. What should we put behind this somewhat out-of-the-way room in this level? Well, we want to make you have to jump. And after you jump, you need to swim through lava. And once you've done that, you find the demon room. What I'm saying is I am questioning some of the choices behind this level. for stopping that fall. I don't care how precious that dagger is, I'm not taking it. Okay, so there may be something in between here, but I don't really want to look and find out. I can't actually move. I didn't even really check to see if this is something I've already been in. I should probably do that. Nope, this is new. And as always, I will do my best to minimize accidental steps into the lava. Although the system is forgiving enough that if you hit the cast button before you land, you shouldn't have to take any damage. If you're a warrior, well, that's what you get for picking the wrong class. Now I do like the effect that... I was gonna say I did like the effect of seeing water for the first time in this place. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it for very long. to remember to use as many spells as I can when ghosts appear on the screen. That way I at least get the full value of what I'm doing. The alternative, of course, is to close the space as quickly as possible. They tend not to use their magic power sapping abilities when you're in melee range. Oof. So beyond random demon rooms, I actually think if more of the levels were like this, like if you think of it, we were able to follow a fairly systematic way of looking through the level. Now if we don't find the exit, that's another matter, but I've generally felt less lost than on some of these others. Clearly that's I am reluctant to say this, of course, but perhaps a side effect of the Dwarven engineering. Demon rooms are also a side effect of Dwarven engineering. I wish they didn't make me jump to get on these things. Hello. This is the worst remake of Tantalus I've ever seen. Why? I don't know if this will take me anywhere, but this will at least let me get down to another level. Alright, time for a little cleaning. In fact, we can probably just use this to heal, but... just have to deal with a pop-up. Alright, we'll do what we can, then we'll rest up, and then we'll carry on. pretty unkind one to leave on me, to be honest. I'm trying to avoid the heal so that I don't have to worry about paralysis. Now this I'm willing to heal for because mana comes back faster than health. Close enough. Did I miss something? Ah, yes. I believe that is the area we tried to get to before. So if not for that, we probably would have gotten through this a lot faster. So my alternative plan, if there was only that path for getting to that area, I would have cast resist fire on myself, and then I would have just used area of effects fire attacks. It's the same thing that causes these guys to self-destruct, basically. This nonsense again. Well, let's give it a try. we go. And that actually did not cost that much as far as mana. Although it also was completely unnecessary. Well, it was worth a try. Because I think we're near the end, I'm starting to use up more of my consumables. Alright. So... something in here seems to be the most likely candidate. Obviously, I spoke too soon about finding the exit. We're probably coming on to about an hour in this place now. Actually, what this reminds me of is, I was not allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, but that didn't stop me from designing dungeons. And what I would notice is whenever I drew something on graph paper, I would try and fill every last square with, a corridor or whatever. Ow. And you would get these absolutely nonsensical floor plans just because I was trying to fill the graph paper. This is kind of what it feels like in here. If you are wondering for lore reasons why Caius would be speaking about Dungeons and Dragons inside the bells of Dagoth-Ur, I don't know enough of the lore myself to be able to have meaningful in-character chats. So I figure talking about in real life things in the character's voice substitutes for the sort of casual banter that might happen between adventurers. Plus, it's my stream, deal with it. I'm assuming that would have been hilarious to see in third person. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. I don't know if I want to risk it or if I should rest up. There's really not that much more to this level, but that doesn't mean I'm any closer to finding the exit. Not a scratch. Okay, now is clearly a time to heal. That was unlucky. I'm just trying to ignore the eyes. Can't see if I can get away with this. Nope. Alright, where are the possible places that this exit could be? It's pretty unlikely here. Maybe somewhere here, but I'm not sure what I missed. I'm tempted to check out the codex, but I've gotten this far without it. just trying to make sense of these rooms, so there's nothing here. Well, I might have ignored something here. Still out and around and up. Drat. Every time I forget to actually check the walls. Oh wow. So there were 2 secret passages and I missed both of them.
Chamber looks to be some sort of crypt.
Well, that's discouraging. Blood rot. I gotta get out of here quick. I'm gonna land in the drink, aren't I? exit, but seeing as I'm here, how's that doing, by the way? That'll manage. Oh, I'm casting Cure Disease again. Damn it. I think what I'll do is I'll heal up in front of the stairs, so if anything shows up, I'll just run away. Alright, so nothing really worth going back for. Even the vampire's room was not, didn't exactly have a ton of loot. I'll keep one weapon just in case I need to break open a door again. Alright, let's see how much I can get away with. I'm just gonna stay on this screen and remember happier times. Alright, I've had my moment. Oh. Never mind, I can handle the tin cans. Alright.
This level seems hotter, as if a great fire burns underneath your feet.
Just trying to get an idea of where we are. It's a little too early for that, I think.
You must pass the first portal. To pass the first portal, thou must find the ruby key. To pass the second portal, thou must find the sapphire key. To pass the third portal, thou must find the crystal key.
I prefer the mysterious key. I don't think it'll let me get away with this. Well, it was worth a try. Gaia's key succeeds. So now I'm really curious if I could have done that to all the other doors when I went looking for keys. Easiest level of the game.
As you enter this level, a wave of sulfurous air hits you. A roaring sound can be heard. Oop.
I want to read that again. Jesus. I thought it was going to be a hallway full of 2x2 enemies. It might still be. Alright, how about you? Ah!
A blast of heat hits you as you stand at the portal to a great lake of fire. Around you, the occasional fires erupt and then flicker out. In the center of the lake, you can just make out some sort of structure.
And that's a ghost that's hitting me. Okay, you know what? Of course I don't. Oh, this was a mistake. I was going to try,
Roaring sound can be heard as if some great conflagration lies ahead. The air around you shimmers with heat.
I was going to try to get on the platform with the ghosts, but obviously that couldn't work. goes next? Those ghosts are a particularly nasty touch, seeing as I'm dependent on my mana to heal against the fire, or defend against the fire rather. But it is definitely a good way to send everything off. This is gonna be tough. Oh, for God's sake. I'm gonna have to save before or after this hallway. Maybe levitate would have been a better idea than resist fire. Jump, damn it. Alright, this is gonna be tough to get out of, but I think we can do it.
To escape a riddle must ye answer. From the beginning of eternity to the end of time and space, to the beginning of every end, and the end of every place. What am I?
From the beginning of eternity to the end of time and the letter E.
Thou art truly worthy. Go in peace, and let thy fate be written in the Elder Scrolls. You have found the last piece of the Staff of Chaos. As though a living thing, it flies to complete the staff, and the whole burns brightly with a cold fire that you can feel, and you can feel the strength of this conduit, as though it were your own strength.
We won, right? Oh, you know what? I have to rest before I can... Uh-oh. I don't think I'm... Yeah, I'm not immune to fire. My mark is broken. So I believe I've used all the charges. I am tempted to take down this jumping shield that I have, but let's see how well I can do with what I've got. And let's see if I have any other items. Got restored power is good. Oof. So it'll work, but it'll require some precision. Nailed it.
I congratulate you on your success. Have you discovered, however, what I have known all along? The staff is drained of all magical potential. I did it myself before scattering the pieces across the realm. It is a useless stick, good for churning butter or rowing a boat, but not for saving the Emperor. Come find me if you dare, and I will relieve you of any further burdens you may think to face. My legions await.
Oh my god. Well, he did bring worthwhile enemies this time, I'll give him that. Maybe Ria will come and tell me what to do. this case, we're just gonna try and run to the top level. I will admit, though, that was a rather good send-off. That was a neat little level, and the only thing that harmed it was the fact that, obviously trying to climb up with things attacking you is not a strong point on this game. I may not pay the vampire another visit, but I'll take his stuff. I was only joking. Still gonna try and take his stuff. Ah! Okay, this will be the fastest way out. Obviously, the plan here is just to run. I don't even want to think about getting caught up with anything if I can. And I would expect all the enemies have respawned, so there should be a bunch of stone golems in these rooms. Up and then to the right. Alright, back to Ebonheart so we can get our stuff.
The city-state of Ebonheart in Morrowind Province. The date is Tertus, 8th of First Seed, 3rd Era 392. Based on the current weather, it will take 17 days to travel here, total distance of 600 kilometers, and we should arrive by Freydis, 25th of First Seed, 3rd Era 392. You arrived in the city-state of Ebonheart in Morrowind Province. The date is Freydis, 25th of First Seed in the year 3rd Era 392. It took 17 days to reach your goal. As you enter Ebonheart, also known as the Black City, you enter Ebonheart, also known as the Black City. To the north you can see the red-orange glow of Dagoth-Ur, the fire cone on the Black Isle. The city's ruler has a reputation of being extremely ruthless.
Alright, due south. One drawback for being in such a dense city is that you don't get to see Dagoth-Ur in the background, which is one thing that's always been nice about visiting Morrowind. That, of course, it is my home province. Now it occurred to me before I get my sword, I actually want to stop by the Mage's Guild so I can see which of the items I want to keep.
Hello.
Well, fortunately, that's not too far away.
A cool breeze follows you into the Mage's Guild, drying the slight sheen of sweat from your brow. The interior smells of spices and chemicals. As your eyes adjust to the dim light, you can make out arcane implements and mystical apparati. You think you feel a strange tingling on your skin.
Technically, I don't need to identify the bracelets as well, but I'm here, so... mean, if I'm gonna use anything, I might as well use the Mark of Wizard Fire. Better bring some resist fire as well. If my inventory's full, then forget it. I'll make do. The one problem with the restored power is that it gives you so little. You have to use a lot of them in a row.
It is a beautiful spring day outside, and the mood of the blacksmith and vintage armaments is bright. Perhaps you can get a good deal off him on a couple of items that impress you. I'm surprised that the zero charge Mark of Healing actually gets any value. Craftsmanship. And yes, I'm going to do this for all of them. Nobody should ever pay less than 100.
we should see what time it is and see if Rhea will give me any further instructions, or if we just need to fight Tharn. And just give me one quick moment. Alright, sorry, I had a quick text that I needed to deal with. So it's 1:56. I can do some side jobs. If we can't find work in the city, maybe we'll take a look outside and see what's going on.
Sorry, I wish I had something to say, but I don't. Here's a sure thing, a delivery job for some surpassingly wealthy man called Tabelith. You can't miss the character over at the Red Gull, a few steps southwest of here.
Thank you for that, including the directions. Most people don't give me that.
You walk into the Red Gull, immediately wishing you were again out in the sunny spring day.
I stayed here once, damn it.
You're about to go to the bar when a surpassingly wealthy man called Tabelith calls you to a table. I need your help. If this sacred iron isn't at the Conclave of Mercy by Lordus 26th the First Seed, my life ain't gonna be worth a copper. Someone will be there to take the sacred icon. Icon, not iron. Icon if you're there on time, and I'm sure they'll give you 285 gold for it. Can you help me? I'm desperate.
I'm always in it for the gold.
By the Black Isle, the good spirits must have delivered you indeed. I'm relying on you, Caius. Do not let me down.
Wrong map. May I ask where the Conclave of Mercy is?
Not really sure. Go north for a while and ask there.
That's all I could really ask for, thank you. Maybe this one. No, I'm right by it. Also, why is this man scared for his life if it's the Conclave of Mercy?
The smell of new blossoms of spring that came into the Conclave of Mercy sanctuary with you mixes with the slightly spicy smell of incense. You can hear the clergy far away giving a prayer of thanksgiving for the beauty of the new year. What a marvelous sacred icon, and it's even here on time. Quite unlike Tabbaleth to be so punctual, I assure you. Well, enjoy your 285 gold piece reward. You've earned it. How would you like to recover something for a friend of mine, a singularly well-known man called Father Demoth of the Dark Elf? You can find this person at the Devil's Mug. You know the inn southwest of here? I'm sure you'll be paid nicely.
Paid nicely is all you needed to say.
An open window in Zarin Anacon's tool store brings in the smell of spring flowers as you look over your money to see what you can afford. There are several displayed items that might prove useful.
Let's see what I can afford, huh? I think I'm good. Southeast, okay. Maybe I should just rest and see if Rhea has a message. for an inn. You know what? I think we're just gonna rest, see if Rhea has anything for us, and then be on our way.
A cool breeze follows you into the unfortunate cup, bringing with it the smell of newly bloomed flowers and fresh-cut grass.
Alright, nothing Rhea told me to do, so we make our way to the Imperial City. This would normally be the time that I play some dramatically appropriate music, but I don't know what the restrictions are going to be.
The Imperial City in the Imperial Province. The date is Lourdes, 26th of First Seed in the 3rd Era 392. Based on the current weather, it will take 20 days to travel there. Total distance, 1,180 kilometers, and you should arrive by Middis, 16th of Rain's Hand in the 3rd Era 392. You've arrived in the Imperial City. The date is Middas, 16th of Rain's Hand in the year 3rd Era 392. It took 20 days to reach your goal. You enter the Imperial City, the heart of Tamriel, and the seat of power for His Majesty, the Emperor Uriel Septim VII.
To the south, thank you. Let's also see if there's any items we can pick up.
It's a beautiful spring day outside, and the mood of the blacksmith at the practical equipment store is bright. Perhaps you can get a good deal off him for a couple of items that impress you.
None of these are impressing me. I know it's tedious, but I am going to check all of the different equipment stores, just on the odd chance there's an upgrade. we go. And for our final assault, we're coming prepared. That is a lot less dramatic than I thought it would be.
I have won, and you blundered your way into this place. At one time, I even considered approaching you with an offer to lead my Imperial Guard. But it is plain that you are not worthy of such a position. Be not fooled by what you would call success in your journey across the Empire, for you have never faced a being as powerful as I. Your death shall be slow and torturous, a suffering that shall span the millennium. Come, I await you in the dungeons below.
It looks like it's already given me the map. This is great.
Jagar Tharn bids thee welcome, foolish child.
This thing isn't exactly blowing me away. Oh, okay. I still need to figure out exactly what this thing does. I think I'll save the staff until I run into some obvious... Well, hang on, I'll read the flavor text.
The Staff of Magnus, one of the elder artifacts of Tamriel, was a metaphysical battery of sorts for its creator, the Archmage Magnus. When used, it regenerates both the mage's health and mystical energy at remarkable rates. In time, the staff will abandon the I see.
I know exactly where I'm using this. do quite what I wanted, but I thought that this might give me more mana, but apparently it does not. I want to avoid as many of the vampires as I can. I don't know what that was, but oh, okay. You're kidding me.
You were a...
There's two of them. I'm gonna be saving a lot here, I think. Sorry, just getting some refreshment. Vampire. I don't think... I don't think this is right. I think this is gonna take me back up. Yeah. I hope this isn't one of those levels where I need to go up and down to find the final spot. Mind you, it has been pretty quick, so I've... Wrong room. I am getting close to the hour I need to go to bed, but it feels like we're really close to the end, so I wanna try and push through it if I can. I also may have been here before. Nope. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go through these doors unless I have to, though. Mostly I just want to go by the walls to see if there's any indications of an exit. Because it tends to reveal that sort of thing. Yep, there we go. How many levels is this? I don't know, but Lich. Looks like I don't get an option. We'll try and make this work again. Oh, so this thing really is healing me. Ah. So it does actually heal, it's just slower than what I need. Okay. Gonna do my best where I can to use the Staff of Magnus, but Now I'm playing a proper spell sword. I'm gonna try something here. If I can run around invisible, then that should allow me to either find the exit or harness the area for it.
Before you stands a great steel door. Its surface is hot, as if behind it lies a great fire. The smell of sulfur and brimstone hangs in the still dead air.
I think we're making progress.
You were a...
Oh, I've got silence on me. Well, whatever that is, I want it. silence to go away. Wait, unless... Worth a try, right? Wah. So now I'm really committed to waiting for this to pass. I'm assuming that's Jagar Tharn. Alright, he can see through invisibility. This has got to be the most ridiculous closing fight ever. Like, was there something I was supposed to pick up? You know what? I got an idea. Stop that. That's it? Oh, no way. It froze. Alright, well, now we know what to do. I realize this is probably not the dramatic ending you were all hoping for, but I am actually mildly pleased with myself with how I solved that. This is the wrong spot. Knowing what we know now,
You have proven yourself a worthy champion of the Empire, and such service shall not be easily forgotten. Hang not your sword above the mantle, nor place your spellbook upon the shelves. Many such adventures still await your hand. This was but one chapter in the story of the Elder Scrolls.
Alright. We have completed our journey in Tamriel. This was Caius, the Dark Elf spell sword courier, among the strongest, most intelligent, most agile, and above average in all other ways. We ended with 331,166 gold, level 20. And I am now the Eternal Champion. Let's find an inn to finish the day at. I do wish the final fight had set up the gem a little bit more. It wasn't all that clear. It seems like the Staff of Chaos has absolutely nothing to do whatsoever with the overall quest. But as far as the final level is concerned, I mean, it was definitely worth it. There was a lot of challenge, and I do sort of like the fact that it seems pretty obvious that Tharn cannot be, at least with the skills that I had, didn't seem to take any damage from what I did, and so you needed to come up with a clever solution to the problem, which I thought was a nice touch. I will save the rest for a post-mortem in the menu, and then we will call it a night. I was sort of hoping there would be a priest outside so I could ask a question. I might just go back to Ebonheart at this rate. I might do a Google search. I figure I've beaten the game. I should be allowed to do a Google search to find out if there's if there's any inns in the Imperial City. place go, didn't he? I'm pretty sure it's just equipment stores in this place. Yeah, it's 7 at night. We're not gonna, unless we want to look at the entire map. Oh, hell no. Alright, I'm gonna do a quick Google search to see if, this is Imperial City. There are inns. Alright. Then we will find the inns. Does it say 1, 2, 3? Says there are 7 of them, but it doesn't give a map. Here we are. The Red Bird.
The Red Bird is like a beacon in the cool spring night, full of torchlight, clinking glasses, and the aromas of the kitchen. You finish the bitters, thankful for a safe haven. Nothing much going on, as far as I know. All right. That was the Elder Scrolls Arena. I probably made a questionable decision doing an in-character Dunmer voice. Actually, a quick side on that. So somebody gave me a couple recordings of the Morrowind voice, and they seem... I've never quite been able to get it down, but I know they tend to do a little more...
I guess it's a little bit higher. Yeah, I find it a bit harder to do.
In the case of the Caius voice, part of it was just the fact that so much of it would be spent around in dungeons, and sort of the idea that it's somebody close to you. So
You'll do a bit of a lower voice like this, which still has a bit of the rasp, but is a bit more like what my voice would sound like if I was a Dunmer. And the question is whether or not this is sufficiently close to what the Morrowind sounds are like.
some days were easier to do that than others. But I don't think the most interesting thing to talk about is the voice. So I think I started off by saying this at the very beginning, but I really had a hard time getting into the Elder Scrolls. I think when Oblivion came out, there was a demo? I think there was a demo at some point for Oblivion. And the funny thing about it is I was really disturbed by the fact that you could wear plate armor and cast spells. Like that went against the rules of RPGs in my mind. And then I think I got over that and I tried the demo again, and I was really bothered by the fact I didn't really feel like I was being told what to do. So clearly, like, my expectations of what a game would be like were very different from what the whole point of games like The Elder Scrolls is. And so I had The Elder Scrolls Arena sort of sitting in my GOG account for a while, and I decided that it would be interesting to try the very first one, and see what that was like and whether or not I wanted to go to any of the other ones. I had tried Skyrim as well, and I found some difficulties with Skyrim, although I have played more of it than any of the other ones. So this, raises an interesting question. What did I think of the Elder Scrolls Arena, and would I want to try the other ones? I think I was a little bit more engaged with the game at the beginning than the end. And the reason for that was I really liked the fact that I had a lot of things to do, and I finally understand the things that sort of bounced off me when I first played these games. So you simply cannot do the main quest until you level up your character. And leveling up your character goes through things like these courier missions. And the other thing I really liked was I was opting into the courier missions originally because there were special holidays that were coming up, which would give me good discounts on certain bits of gear. And as it happens, that made my character very powerful through this playthrough. If you've been watching from the very beginning, you know that I had a really big edge at the very start. So where Skyrim, it really did not connect with me properly when I first played it, because I sort of felt like I was being put on this treadmill of quests, and it was sort of relying on the fact that I like to clear out a checklist of things, and it just kept loading on more and more for me to do. And I'm sort of like, well, the dragons are coming back and it seems like it's the end of the world, but I guess this guy really needs his mail delivered, and the game's going to just keep that in my list unless I don't want to do that. And particularly things like the Thieves Guild missions, where you may not want to be involved with the Thieves Guild at all. It'll still be sitting in your quest list. And I sort of understand why they do that, but the thing that I really liked about the Elder Scrolls Arena was the fact that I had my own choices that I was making in terms of whether or not I put them on. It wasn't because there was something that was in my inventory or my quest log. It was the fact that, okay, I want to get, half off on all the gear at the blacksmiths. And I know that if I go to the next village, it's going to take too long, and so I'm going to hang around and I'm going to do these quests, and I'm going to go out, and maybe I'll go to a dungeon which is sort of within walking distance of the town, but I'm not going to go on a full duration to the next municipality or the next city-state, because I'll miss the good deals. So, in that sense, I completely got what the game was trying to do, and I actually really liked the fact that I was, I was going and doing these side quests because they got me a little bit of experience, they got me some money, they were a good way to pass the time. And then every once in a while, I would go to an inn, and there would be something unexpected. Sometimes I'd go out looking for work. Other times I'd go to an inn, and somebody would say, "Hey, you can do this thing." So that was overall good. And again, just this idea of these moments happening in time. Essentially, the decision to do side quests was something that was maximizing my use of time because I wanted to make sure that I was continuing to level up and to acquire better weapons. And it seemed that the holidays were sort of the signposts in between. So all of that was really good, especially because there were sort of dungeons in the area. And so it was very much like what they say they're trying to do in the manual, which is capture the experience of tabletop role-playing. And I think they did a good job of that. I also think it's really interesting that as you level up, you're given more of these missions from usually the ruler of the area to go to another place to drop off an item, and that there will be factions that try and attack you. Now, it is pretty primitive. Obviously, if you try and rest in a certain area when you're on that mission, you're going to be attacked. And so you can sort of game that if you want. But I like that idea because, again, it's sort of this idea, if you want to spend the time in between things, you can you can do these quests, and these ones are maybe a little bit more interesting and meaningful, especially when you're repairing your gear. Sometimes you just need to do something. You don't want to spend the money, or if you do. Like I obviously made a mistake the first time that I tried to repair an item on a very short period of time, because obviously the better thing to do is just have a secondary set of weapons and armor that you can use while you're repairing your other one. Now, the big problem is that the more interesting and the more advanced quests were ones I really didn't get to experience that much, because my character was already so wealthy that it was very hard to argue why I would want to take those. This whole idea of how do I spend my time suddenly got turned around a bit because my character got a little too strong, a little too fast. And in this case, side quests really were something where I was like, okay, well, I need to wait an extra day for my item to repair, so I might as well do some side quests or something like that. And then for the rest of it, I really just wound up doing the main quest. And that's a bit of a shame because I really did enjoy it when there was a little bit more diversity. And this is the interesting thing. I actually think this is why I had a bad reaction to the original Elder Scrolls games, which was I opted and I said, okay, I'm going to go look for some other things to do. And the world always had something for me to do. I would go and I'd look, I'd go outside, I'd find a town and like, hey, where's the closest dungeon? They'd point me that way. I'd go in and I'd do my thing. Or I'm like, okay, I don't want to go out of town. I'm going to stay here and do a few courier missions or something like that. But instead of the game really only did one thing to fill my quest log, which was, hey, if you want to get this pieces of the Staff of Chaos, you're going to have to look for this thing here. And I liked that approach. I sort of liked the fact that I was opting in rather than it was just filling up this book of like, everybody in Tamriel wants something from me and we're going to put it in a big list. And if you have a particular temperament, you're going to want to fill everything on that list. And again, this is a personal preference thing. So in that sense, the fact that I was able to get so much money so quickly and render those kinds of quests irrelevant was a bit of a shame, and I think that's why I engaged with the game a little bit less as it went on. And in a couple of the cases, I really sort of felt like I wanted to get through some of the mazier dungeons just because it wasn't doing a lot for me, and I just wanted to get on to the next part where there was something interesting. Very similar note, and this is when your character is very powerful. Those special items like the Ogma Infinium and the Staff of Magnus, clearly the Staff of Magnus actually wound up being very helpful for us in the end. That was another great way where they preserved that moment. Obviously, it was a pretty rare occasion that I would run into someone, but it was always very exciting when you would talk to somebody about rumors and it gives you a chance, it gives you a a reason to be talking with people about this sort of thing. So and so was talking over here, and the negotiation over the map piece and all of that. All of that was really good, and it's a big exciting moment when you find one of those items. And then I was a little disappointed to find out that basically if you have one, you can't find any others. And obviously, if I'm going to complain about my character being too powerful, I can't then turn around and say that my character was not allowed to have multiple, very powerful items. I sort of understand why they do it that way. But again, when you consider the fact that so much of the enjoyment is in these little side quests that you do, and getting special artifacts of power really is a special moment in the game, the fact that my character was powerful enough to render some of these other side quests not very interesting, trying to acquire great artifacts of power was the only other thing that made the game interesting for me. And once I got the Staff of Magnus, I was sort of left without any other options, unfortunately. And I'm not quite sure how I would resolve that. But one of the biggest things that I've learned, I think I have finally been able to come to terms with the way that the Elder Scrolls does things. I sort of understand why the treadmill of quests exists. In many ways, it is the same thing as what I found enjoyable, at the beginning of the game. It's just put in a way where there is always a record of it. And so I think I'd be interested to go back and maybe try like a Skyrim or something like that to see whether or not I have a better appreciation of the game now that I've had this experience. I definitely feel, having played Elder Scrolls Arena, and I can say this probably from like the third or fourth playthrough, like I definitely really liked the game, and I finally understood why people liked the modern ones, which I think is a good thing. And it's very interesting if I do decide to do the later games. I'm interested in seeing how this style develops. Some things I think could have been done a little bit better. I mean, I talked a bit about the fact that I felt that I got too powerful, and so as a result, it made, even though there was lots of stuff to do, it was no longer interesting. I didn't need to wait for the special events because I chances are I wasn't going to find an item. And even if I was going to find an item, I already had ridiculous amounts of money. Like there was, nothing I couldn't have bought. And the main reason for, so perfect example here, like the only reason I would haggle over something that was under 100 gold was to preserve the dignity of Fine Elven's craftsmanship. Like that's really the only reason to do that. Obviously, when you have something that's worth a couple of thousand, you'll boost it up because the time that you spend is actually worth it. And then, I mean, there's obviously the stuff through the missions that didn't work for me. I don't think the idea of getting paralyzed while you're in water being instant death is that particularly fun. It's probably true to life, although obviously paralysis does not prevent you from casting spells or drinking an anti-paralysis potion. The whole idea of trying to climb up while things are attacking you is kind of ridiculous, as are the really weird times when they'll get like 3 spells in a row off on you. So those sorts of things are just, part of it's just about the age of the game. I think there are some things that are really interesting about the game that sometimes like work very well and then sometimes sort of fail to. So the fact that you can essentially pass through every wall in the game, I think is a really neat idea. I appreciate what they're trying to do with it, but I don't feel like I had a lot of opportunities to really make that something special. I largely did that to try and overcome irritating things about levels rather than it being some big moment of, aha, I finally discovered this big thing. But of course, in the final fight, after it was fairly apparent that I wasn't going to be able to take out Tharn or open that door, it was kind of fun to be able to use a spell like Earthen Wall to buy myself the time to get the special artifact. Although again, it would have been nicer if they set up a a proper sort of transition to say, hey, you need to get this thing, which is his life force. I think it's good that they made it something that wasn't just another like awkward fight, like a really powerful lich or like a vampire or something like that. Obviously, vampires and trolls were things that frustrated me a bit because they were just great ways to blunt your weapon. I still don't know how you actually wind up killing those things. So in that, like, I'm really very much on the edge. I actually like the fact that the final fight allowed me to do something a little creative in terms of being, is like, okay, I have this big problem with the final boss, but I have special abilities that allow me to manipulate the level in such a way that I'm going to be able to buy the time to find the solution. That sort of stuff I really like in games, and I also specifically like in role-playing games because that's the sort of thing you want to have happen in a tabletop session. I just sort of think that the game could have maybe been a little bit clearer in terms of what I was supposed to do because, when you encounter a guy in a black robe, the reaction is largely the same each time, and then you find out that your weapon kind of just pings off them no matter what you do. It's like, okay, this is probably the last boss, and I have to do something else. Like, it was more me, like, being a gamer that, made me think along those lines rather than just sort of it being a natural response in the moment. But, I mean, part of this, too, is, you need to figure all this stuff out. Like, it is a pretty impressive game for it. I like the fact that there's things like, you can see Dagoth-Ur in the background in when you're in Morrowind, and the fact that, when I was on a coastal city, you could actually see the coast. It's obviously a little frustrating to go around these different cities and not be able to find the thing that you're looking for, but it is really neat to be able to go in these environments that do seem to reflect the area. And this is obviously not something we associate with games around this time. So in that sense, it was quite refreshing when I sort of step away from the individual frustrations in the moment. So I think this is probably the best. The broad strokes really are very good. The smaller details can sometimes be really damaging. So every time I had to climb up something after going down a hole, I did not like it. There was a reason I specifically avoided that as much as I could. I never went into water, and obviously that partially became a
Caius just doesn't like water
moment. But that was also a very specific, this is a fantastic way for me to get frustrated with the game if I keep going in the water sort of moment. And the only thing I would say differently, or I would have maybe done differently as far as sort of the macro level, would just be if there was a way to be a little bit more basically, I think if there were just simply more things for me to do with my money, because it was really at a point where, unless I was going to go into every single weapon shop I could, as chances are I wasn't going to find that ebony katana, and which the manual does indicate is the best weapon that you can get. So adamantium is the second best. So, it largely became irrelevant for me to go to weapons shops unless I wanted to repair. I eventually found out even identification wasn't really required. Like, that was the other thing. The identification, I sort of get why, every RPG does it. It definitely felt like an inconvenience. I didn't feel like there was something that I was gaining from having to go to the Mages Guild and identify things before selling them. And clearly you don't need to, so I eventually stopped. But maybe it is like you don't find... I guess this is the big thing, is like, what is the advantage to having somebody go into a dungeon, find a cool item, and not be able to equip it right away? Because that clearly there's a choice that's being made there. But when I'm talking about the things that excited me and the fact that I do find these great artifacts of power, that's usually like a, ooh, this was good moment. And I think it would have sort of charged up those dungeon crawls a little bit more. But again, that's more of a personal opinion thing. Overall, I liked this game. I know it wasn't always apparent And I do think I sort of let the silences go on a little bit too long near the end. But that's that's just more of a dynamic of how the game sort of went. I am sort of playing these on my own, and I didn't necessarily want to just kind of babble on like I do when I have a live broadcast. So, but that leaves me to the last bit. There's obviously more Elder Scrolls games out. Now, to be as honest as I can, this is definitely not like an effort to gain some kind of pity or something like that. But when I take a look at the YouTube stats, I would say I would be lucky if a quarter of the episode, like of the total amount of footage that I have recorded for the Elder Scrolls Arena, I'd be lucky if a quarter of it has been seen by a human being. When I take a look at Twitch, I would say that at least there's a 1-to-1 ratio of there's basically been a human being who has seen what has been going on for each episode. But I do tend to notice that the net follower count is less. So essentially the cost for me doing the Elder Scrolls Arena is losing followers for people who don't understand that it's a vodcast. It's not live, and so I can't respond to them. And the benefit, it's a little bit debatable, but I will also say some people have given really warm feedback about this thing. And I've always sort of had the view that because it's a smaller stream, the whole point is if there's a small little thing that people like doing and they feel very strongly about it, that is worth doing on its own. But with that in mind, there have been some pretty clear signals in terms of whether or not people are getting something out of it. If somebody is getting something out of it, it is a very intense individual feeling. And so that's where I leave it with you. There are more Elder Scrolls games to play, and I would actually very much like to continue on this journey. And I would not be opposed to continuing it on as Caius if that was your thing. But this is particularly a moment where I would love some guidance from you, the viewer, on this. Would you like to see Dagerfall being played? And if I do Dagerfall, would we like to have the continued story of
Caius, the courier spellsword Dunmer, and now eternal champion, savior of Aurelial Septim, and slayer of Jagar Tharn, the battle mage?
Or would you like to have another individual carry on? You can let me know in the comments on YouTube. You can let me know in chat on Twitch. You could send me a tweet. There's lots of different ways to reach out to me. And I'm definitely not opposed to doing this, but this does mean my Tuesdays are now open now that we've completed the Elder Scrolls Arena. And so, it's always my job to sort of decide what to do. But now is a particularly good time for you to let me know what your hopes and intentions are, because it is something that I'll listen to. And if you didn't like this, you can let me know that too. I usually tend to only respond negatively if somebody is just saying, you suck. If it's, this didn't work for me, because I do try to take that to heart. So, with that in mind, thank you very much for watching. This has been the Elder Scrolls Arena, and we'll see you guys for whatever comes up next, whether it's Dagerfall or whether it's something else. Have a wonderful evening. This is System Jock signing off.